The call came while she was packing. Not hurried. Not guilty. Careful. I want to date others, she said, folding silk like it owed her money. But you can't. I watched her reflection in the mirror. Calm mouth, practiced eyes. The kind of face that expects resistance so it can perform mercy afterward. She waited for me to beg. For the stutter. For the apology I didn't owe. For the promise to improve. The word left my mouth before my pulse changed. Deal! It landed between us like a dropped knife. She blinked. Once. The room felt colder. Somewhere in the apartment, a kettle screamed itself empty. Her smile came late and thin. She kissed my cheek with the confidence of someone who believed they had won twice. Permission and power. She left with a suitcase and a plan. I stayed with the silence and a thought that wouldn't stop repeating, if you open the door, don't be surprised by who walks in. 3 days later, I came home early. The lights were on. Music played. My music. The smell of garlic and butter hung in the air, intimate and wrong. Someone laughed in my kitchen. Wearing my shirt. Cooking. She stood at the stove like she belonged there, like she had memorized the space. My wife's college rival. Sharp cheekbones, softer lies. The woman who once lost everything to her and never forgot it. She turned, saw me, and smiled with borrowed confidence. Oh, she said. You're early. I didn't ask why she was there. I asked myself why the answer didn't surprise me. My wife emerged from the hallway, hair damp, robe loose. She froze when she saw my face. Not fear, calculation, the kind that measures damage, not guilt. We talked, she said too quickly. You said deal. I nodded, slow, controlled. I did. The rival set a plate on the table. Our table. She had learned my routines faster than my wife ever bothered to. I watched the choreography, the way my wife deferred, the way the other woman led, old resentments wearing new clothes. They had planned this. Not the timing, me, but the takeover. I ate, complimented the seasoning, excused myself. In the bathroom, I stared at my reflection and cataloged the quiet facts. She hadn't asked for freedom. She had asked for immunity, and she assumed I was too invested to move. She was wrong. I didn't confront. I didn't flinch. I observed. Phone records told me where words had been replaced by hours. Late-night calls, hidden apps, a second calendar, receipts that formed a pattern if you let them. I smiled when appropriate. I slept when necessary. I moved my money like furniture, slowly, invisibly, with intent. I pulled our marriage apart with tweezers. Emails archived themselves. Documents copied. A private account bloomed offshore, patient and quiet. She grew careless. Power does that? She started bringing the rival over openly. Started testing me with jokes that weren't jokes. Don't be boring, she said once. We agreed. I agreed to nothing she understood. Thanksgiving approached like a dare. My daughter-in-law called, voice sharp with inherited contempt. If you want to join Thanksgiving, come wash the dishes, she shouted over the phone, laughter bleeding through the line. I pictured my wife feeding them a story where I was already gone. Enjoy, I said and hung up. That night I booked a villa. Lake-facing, glass everywhere, silence you could buy. Switzerland doesn't judge, it only reflects. I uploaded photos, not for vanity, for placement. The kind of images that rearrange hierarchies. Light, space, wealth without apology. Then I waited. The truth arrived, folded into a folder and sealed with law. Infidelity was the small sin. The larger one wore signatures. She had been siphoning, slowly, confidently, using my name. Like a key she thought I'd never notice missing. I invited her to sit. No shouting. No theatrics. I slid the folder across the table. She opened it with the hands of someone who believed in miracles. Her face changed as numbers became consequences. This isn't, she began. I raised a finger. Not angry. Finished. I know. The rival hovered behind her, suddenly unsure. Predators hate paperwork. You said deal, my wife whispered. I said deal, I agreed. You dated. I dissolved. Her mouth opened, closed. She tried crying. Then bargaining, then rage. Each emotion performed for an audience that had already left. I stood. I moved everything 3 weeks ago, I said. You were busy. The call log lit up my phone later that night. 1 ring, then 10, then 50. 71 missed calls by morning. I answered none. From the villa, I watched Snow erase footprints, clean, efficient. She sent messages that swung wildly, threats, apologies, memories curated for leverage. I sent one reply, a photo. The kitchen here, not hers, mine. She came home to an empty apartment and a rival, who realized too late that victory without ownership is just exposure. My wife fell to her knees in the hallway, neighbors watching through cracked doors. She begged then, finally, properly. I listened to the voicemail once, then deleted it. People think revenge is loud. It isn't. It's subtraction. I didn't take her dignity. She misplaced it. I didn't trap her. I stepped aside and let gravity work. From the terrace, the lake looks endless. It isn't. But it feels that way if you stop measuring. I no longer check my phone. Power is knowing you don't have to. She wanted options without consequence. I gave her consequences without options. And when the silence settled, it didn't feel like loss. It felt like accuracy.